Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com here with this week's episode of the Market Monday, a day late and a buck short on a Tuesday. Hell, I think in some alternate universe they named Tuesday Monday, so we're going to count this as Market Monday on a Monday. Anyway, let's get to the topic at hand today, which is the cracks are starting to show in the Magic the Gathering sealed product. Well, Magic the Gathering as a whole, the cracks are really starting to show, and I think this is a huge warning sign going forward for Magic the Gathering. Now, I'm going to give you my outlook of where, or I guess my diagnosis of the market, as well as what I think the cure is for this. And I'm going to predict right now the Wizards of the Coast is not going to take this advice. They're not going to do the necessary measures that they need to do to save the MTG secondary market as well as the sealed market, kind of the economy that's going on right now with Magic the Gathering. And 2021 is going to be the same old, where they're just going to push product after product out. And I think that that's going to spell disaster for Magic the Gathering once the pandemic is over. I talked about this in another video that I think that Wizards of the Coast got lucky with the travel being completely shut down, people being bored and stuck at home, and where they start to have that nostalgia effect, they start to play Magic the Gathering Arena, which also, that's a topic for another day, is not doing well. Magic the Gathering Arena numbers are terrible right now going into the Christmas season, where you think that it'd pick up with not only cold weather, but we're going into another lockdown. And that is just, that we have warning sign after warning sign after warning sign of an impending collapse of the market. So I want people to be very careful right now with Magic the Gathering. Let's get to the what I would give the cure for this would be the Wizards needs to, first of all, they need to come up with more interesting products. And second of all, they need to give a lot of breathing room to the Magic the Gathering market to catch up with their overprinting from 2020. Now, if anyone is arguing that there's overprinting from 2020, I know people are like, well, Jumpstart. People can't get the Commander Legends they want to. Commander Green was heavily allocated. That is such a good thing. I am so glad that Jumpstart Wave number 2 is tiny. I am so glad that Commander Legends Wave number 2 looks tiny. I am so glad that they didn't do a reprint on mystery booster boxes. All those things would have spelled disaster if Wizards of the Coast did go down that road. And hopefully I'm going to prove it to you in this video. So 2021, I want them to calm down. I wish they would, no master sets in 2021. Scale back on the secret layers. Maybe if they want to give kickbacks to local game stores, they start to go local game store route with the secret layers. That will give them a little bit of much needed influx of cash from those secret layers purchases while the market catches back up. Now, we did see a catch up happen in the early parts of April and May with people buying dead sets like Amonkhet, and the big movers were like Amonkhet, Shadows over Innistrad, Oath of the Gatewatch, Origins. We had Return to Ravnica, we had Theros. All those did very well in April. And then we've seen those markets completely cool off to the point that now they've gone back down, not to previous levels before April, but they've definitely gone down from their June highs of how much it is for an Amonkhet sealed booster box. Amonkhet was pushing 140 before the overprinting with Double Masters Forward started. So let's just start to prove the market. So let's give a little of a timeline of what happened with the overprinting of 2021. So first of all, Double Masters came out of left field. That was something that was kind of snuck on us. And the printing of Double Masters seems to be a little bit higher when you factor in the VIP packs with the just the booster boxes, to if you compare it to the Ultimate Masters. And Double Masters is not faring well. In fact, it's still going down in value. There are still VIP packs for under distributor costs. Those, remember when VIP packs with that the foil Force of Will was the best thing ever, that there was never going to be a chase card or a product as good as that. And lo and behold, less than a couple sets later, we have two sets right in a row that had arguably better chase cards, with Zendikar Rising with the Expedition slot, and the Commander Legends with the Jeweled Lotus, as well as the Mana Drain slot. So I'm on record saying the Commander Legends was a master set with how much value they packed in it. And it's that is a huge warning sign that VIPs are not done and gone. by now from Double Masters. Yes, I do think the price point was too high, but the value that they slammed in, the value was not the problem with Double Masters. That was my entire argument on this channel, on the Rogue Market channel, is they could have put anything in there, and the amount of printing that they did and with that set would have collapsed any market. So if we actually look at Double Masters, let's see if we can find the Masters set here. Did they change this up where they actually got rid of Master sets on Dawn? I'm going to find something else here. Let's see here. I'm just seeing the Commander decks, and oh, there we go, reprint sets here. So you have Double Masters that has had a little bit of an increase here in this last couple weeks. That could just be an error glitch on from November 26th to November 30th. I'd wait and see a couple weeks here. There probably is something wrong with the price of those. We'll check it again on MTG Goldfish and see what's going on. But you do have even the other sets like Modern Masters. Yeah, it does seem like that there must be a little price correction here with some of these sets that they've all dipped up here in the past week. But Double Masters is still not faring well. If you take where it was at the start of November, it hasn't increased since then. We should start to see Master sets December, January really start to flat out and start to go up, and Double Masters continues, and especially in the sealed. Like sealed's where you look at first, and then it takes a while for the singles market to actually catch back up to the sealed. And seeing VIPs still available from distributors and still under distributor costs, like I'm getting Double Masters or had the opportunity to buy Double Masters at cheaper than originally, that is a terrible, terrible sign for the market. A bunch of these other Master sets have not really recovered either. We did see like Masters 25 and Iconic Masters start to have good recoveries, and both of these have also started to collapse in both their sealed price as well as their singles price. And across the board of these other ones, we've seen the same thing happen. So other sets like standard sets like Zendikar Rising are actually faring better than I thought they were doing. Zendikar Rising continues to go down. We are now in a set where the box topper is the bulk value that you're going to get from a Zendikar Rising. So it's going to make other things like bundles and pre-release kits, I think, are going to be dead products for a long time for Zendikar Rising, and we'll talk about those in a second. And we can also see like Theros Beyond Death being actually the best value set, and I think that has to do with this set was the stinker of the sets, and it hasn't been opened at all. In fact, we'll talk about collector's editions. Collector's editions are now another huge warning sign if we compare them to Eldraine and how quickly the collector's edition actually evaporated. Well, I got to put an asterisk there because the collector's editions from Eldraine, from the sleeved versions, so the ones that you bought at Walmart, like in those either the 3-pack sleeves or the 1-pack sleeves, are still available for cheap from distributors. What happened with those, they didn't do great on the shelves at Walmart. There was a huge theft problem and just a lack of people actually purchasing them, so they pulled them from the shelves and then tried to slam them through distribution through local game stores, and that has not been enough to actually evaporate the supply of Eldraine collector's editions. And I guess, where's the theory with Wizards of the Coast? Is there a theory that they want collector's editions to last the longevity of a standard season? That's kind of, I don't know their reprint strategy with that, but I think that that's a pretty poor reprint strategy with that set as well, as it has just created too much supply, too many things to buy for the Magic the Gathering secondary market, or just the market in general, to catch up with. We've seen some okay increases in the sets of like Guilds of Ravnica and War of the Spark. They're actually faring quite well for rotation sets, and I got to give a little bit of asterisks here with Guilds of Ravnica. This entire block, I think, is still a good buy, as these do, I think that in the scope of things, in the history of Magic the Gathering, these sets are going to be looked back at some very good sets. I mean, comparatively speaking with the ones before them, I would say that Guilds of Ravnica outclasses all of these sets from Pioneer, with just the amount of power in them, or amount of playable cards in the various formats. And the same can be said with Eldraine once Eldraine does come to rotation, but Eldraine is really the set that was printed like crazy. In fact, 2 of the chase cards from Eldraine were in Challenger decks, which again is another product that we're going to be talking about. So that gives you kind of a backdrop of where we are with just the singles prices and how the market's faring. Arguably, people would say that Paper Magic is doing better because of maybe the pandemic should be the lack of local play, the lack of the Grand Prix, the lack of all this stuff. But I would say that that isn't true across the board with other collectibles. People are actually opening a lot of product. They are buying a lot of product too, and at least just playing at their kitchen tables. That has been up like crazy in this last 2020, all the way from April to now. And I don't think that will change much with, I don't know, the biggest problem with Magic the Gathering visit doesn't get another stimulus check, if the market does, the market as a whole, not just Magic the Gathering, does start to see some massive recorrection with inflation, we can see actually inflation helping Magic the Gathering, but if it does cause just a lack of capital in general in the markets, we could see Magic the Gathering suffer from this as well. So there are a lot of unknown factors going forward where that is non-specific to Magic the Gathering that actually will affect Magic the Gathering as a whole. Okay, so now let's get on to kind of the evidence. So I see a lot of things behind the scenes as far as distribution is concerned, and owning a local game store, talking to distributors, and seeing how much they are marking down prices. So last year was kind of a dud for sales around the Black Friday and the Cyber Monday. There wasn't a lot of good things to buy from distributors. It was kind of a weird lull in the market. This year, I have seen distributors blow out basically all of these products from this age. And the timing is what's concerning. So a little bit of history with timing. Usually you don't start to see sets start to go down in value until they start to go around rotation, or at least like 6 months, 6 to 8 months. You'll see like, okay, no one wants to buy Guilds of Ravnica anymore, so maybe like the bundles or the theme boosters or those type of stuff will go on sale. Bundles historically, though, haven't been a product that have been available at distributor cost for longer than 3 to 4 months. Bundles tend to age very well. The bundles have a catch-22. They are difficult to ship. You lose a lot of your money in the shipping process, but the supply of them is very low, and they do have unique things like those dice that people do collect. A lot of people do like to collect one of the bundles boxes. And so with like Kaladesh, Amonkhet, Aether Revolt, Hour Devastation, all those, the bundles ran out before the booster boxes started to run out. We even saw that with more recent sets, with the exception of Guilds of Ravnica, Ravnica Allegiance, because that got a trigger of a reprint for the bundles. And that's where demand was very, very high for the Ravnica Allegiance set, bundles specifically, that it actually triggered another reprint. And the reprint, this is the problem with the new theory of Magic the Gathering, this print to demand theory, is a lot of times it gives a false signal to Magic the Gathering that they need to reprint a set, and then when they do reprint that set, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. And Ravnica Allegiance bundles was another thing that had way too much supply, comparatively speaking, to Guilds of Ravnica and War of the Spark. Guilds of Ravnica and War of the Spark, good luck finding bundles. Ravnica Allegiance, you can still find some bundles. Same can be said for like Throne of Eldraine. The bundles ran out before. The gift bundles had another triggering of a reprint, which was a disaster because there was a miscommunication with the warehouse or the printers and the distribution line, where they named it Theros of Eldraine. It got lost in some warehouse somewhere, didn't make the Christmas season last year, and then the Theros of Eldraine bundles were then pushed on the market in around February. Now, they did have a collector's pack in them, which was doing good for Throne of Eldraine and was able to sell them for higher than distributor cost. But then when the sleeve boosters came out, this was another product that was very, very hard to move. I think that it's finally the supply line of Theros of Eldraine, the gift editions from last year, has finally caught up to the market where these are actually going for about where the SRP or what they wanted the price to be going for these collector's editions. Now, this year's collector's edition is just a hot mess. I did a review video on my Gone Rogue Games channel where Zendikar Rising is just, the collector's edition is just more of the same. Nobody wants it. All it has is an additional collector's edition. In that, I do think that Zendikar Rising holiday gift boxes or holiday bundles are a much better product than Zendikar Rising bundles, and I think that's actually going to push down Zendikar Rising bundles even more. However, bundles used to be a safe product due to the low print runs of those, but even those at their low printing is a huge warning sign, with still having like Core 2021 at below distributor price, and all these other ones that distributors have been very lackadaisy at letting go. So they're not trying to like hoard these and get better value out of them. They are just trying to recoup their money with and I don't know exactly how that relationship works with Wizards of the Coast and Wizards of the Coast across the boards tells distributors to, liquidate a certain product. We're seeing some weird movement with across the board all of the distributors putting Ikoria Commander on sale, which means maybe Wizards of the Coast is putting that pressure, allowing them to buy at a cheaper price, which is then liquidating the Commander Ikoria. And that also is a bad sign. All right, so let's just get to the products. And I've talked about this before. I also, running a local game stores gives me one insight on my local community, on their purchase habits. I also run a Discord, a Patreon, where I sell products at distributor cost. So if you sign up for a subscription fee via my Patreon, which I've been bouncing between 150 and 160 patrons, and all of them tend to actually use their benefits. So people are purchasing products, they are using their subscription fee, and I've started to see a lot of patterns with their purchasing behavior as well. And what it is Wizard of the Coast has a very, very short shelf life, and the window is getting shorter and shorter. So let me give you some history of how these last sets have panned out. So every one of these products that I've been mentioning, like Ikoria Commander, even Commander 2019, Zendikar Rising Collector's Editions, Zendikar Rising set boosters, Ikoria Collectors, Theros Collectors, all of those have had this problem of a lack of supply early, to where I wasn't able to get enough to meet that initial demand, which has triggered a reprint from Wizards of the Coast, which that second reprint has come out too little and too late, to the point that then nobody wants it, and it causes this chain reaction, this domino effect, that across the board prices just get crushed, and then it's hard for me to remove and recoup the cost of what I paid or what I committed to. And I think it's just not me, it's just other stores as well, it's distributors, everything has just caused this really terrible chain reaction of the product not being able to be there week 1 and week 2, where that attention span is. I say that these Magic the Gathering players have like the attention span of a raccoon, and they have to have the new latest shiny thing, and as soon as that is not the new latest shiny, nobody wants it. I had orders for VIPs that could have filled a warehouse, but by the time that second wave of VIPs came around, nobody wanted them anymore. Same thing with Zendikar Rising Collector's Edition, same thing with Ikoria Commander, same thing, the list goes on and on and on. Unsanctioned, another one that triggered a reprint of Unsanctioned, and now Unsanctioned cannot be moved. And again, let's just get into the meat of this video. So let's just go down the products one by one. These are the products that I am seeing that are being blown out right now from distributors. They've all had deals on Ikoria Commander. Ikoria Commander was not a set that was poorly received. This is one where people were thanking Wizards of the Coast for finally listening and creating a commander deck that was worthwhile to pick up, mainly because of the free spells. So this was my prediction, and I actually had a little bit of a friendly bet with a certain patron that I think needs to pay up now, because I said that Commander 2019 was going to be the better product long term than Commander 2020. That Commander 2020's free spells had the problem that I think that they're going to go the route of things like Blasphemous Act and Chaos Warp, and what are some other ones that are just printed in every Commander set. So we had these Deadly Relics from, this is the black one that is now down to 11. I'm surprised it's actually gone down to 11. The big one was the blue one. Let's go find the blue card, which is, still Fierce Guardianship. It's still $34. This is the big chase one because it is just like an evergreen card. It goes in every commander deck. You can justify throwing this in if you run blue. And then that was going to be enough to sell these long term. These were just going to be, this was kind of the argument with Fabled Passage, that Fabled Passage was going to sell those challenger decks, that they're going to be good buys from here on out because Fabled Passage was just such a high value card. Well, we ended up seeing what happened with Fabled Passage, triggering the reprint in another standard set, as well as being in many other box sets. We saw Fabled Passage, which probably is a good thing for the format, because the format does need Fabled Passage. I don't think that the standard wants like $20 rares right now. However, I think that this is also going to be the problem with Fierce Guardianship and the Deadly Relic and all these other cards, is they are going to be the next Blasphemous Acts, and that is going to crush the price even more. So if you're looking at long-term Commander Ikoria, this is just horrible. This is a doomsday scenario for these cards if they do get reprints. You can see that there's no other cards anywhere in Commander Ikoria that are worth over $5. Let's see if we can even find one that is worth over $5. Another one with Arcane Signet that people thought were going to long-term be good holds. However, again, every one of these commander decks, Kaldheim or whatever the set that's coming out, has already announced commander sets, and we know Arcane Signets are going to be in those. So this is going to be the new Soul Ring. It's gonna stifle the growth of Arcane Signet, that it's never going to go over that $3 price tag by the time it gets reprinted in another commander product. So down the line, we can't see no $5 card, no $5 card, no $5 card. Locust got it 3. No $5 card here. Let's go down in this one. Wilderness Reclamation at $262. Really? That's like the chase card next to the the deflecting swat, no $5 card. No, my whole problem with Commander 2020 was the mana base was terrible. It was absolutely horrendous. They didn't add any sort of lands that people wanted for Commander. We go down to the Ruthless Regiment. We don't have a $5 card to be found. Skullclamp is the next best one. So we have the free spells. So this one has Flawless Maneuver. And not one card. I mean, did one card even hit $4? And then a handful of them, if you take out this, like the Soul Rings and the Arcane Signet, didn't even hit $3. This is a disaster of a product. The supply was too high. This triggered a reprint when people snagged these up thinking that, oh my gosh, I can make my money back with this Fierce Guardianship. I can just buy this and flip the Fierce Guardianship, and all of this is the profit margin. Well, there's no such thing as a profit margin in these under $5 cards. If you watch any Magic the Gathering Finance channel, if it's under $5, it's very, very hard to move. By the time you deal with eBay and TCG player fees, you've lost money. By the time you ship it, you're definitely breaking even or losing money at that point. You have to have another outlet. Buy list, I'm pretty sure that no one, like Card Kingdom, is not picking up these cards. Let's just look at something. Let's look at like a $3 card. Let's find the best one and not called Arcane Signet. And let's see, yeah, it's impossible to even find one of these stupid things. And this is another problem that we've seen happen in 2020 was just when they reprinted one card, it ended up being reprinted in multiple sets. Like Solemn Simulacrum got that Core 2021. It was supposed to be like kind of a chase reprint, very, very evergreen card in Commander. And then lo and behold, it gets printed in multiple. It wasn't just Commander 2020. I believe this was also in another set, whether it be Jumpstart or something, where we saw the Solemn Simulacrum. But geez, yeah, look at this. It's hard for me to even find. Lightning Greaves buy list. Let's see what they do with the Commander 2020 buy list. Show buy list prices. Card Kingdom at $275. That's pretty reasonable. If you can get Card Kingdom to pay $275 for this card with Lightning Greaves, that's a good sign. But this one did too have a double masters printing. Is that with the one that happened? It had a secret layer printing recently. Yep, to have the double masters reprint. So Lightning Greaves needs a lot of breathing room. I think this trend is going to continue to go down. There's no way that Lightning Greaves hits like $5 before it gets another reprinting. Very, very high chance that it gets reprinted in the Commander decks of the next set that comes out, as this does get a lot of printing. So I think that the kind of the ship has sailed for Lightning Greaves ever being a $7 card again. So huge disaster with Commander Ikoria. Again, this was not a set that wasn't well received. It had a lot of demand. And now, where has the dust settled? I saw Black Friday deals on eBay for $85. I saw Amazon for $85. I see distributors unloading these between the $90 and $100 range. Distributors' regular price, they've dumped these down to where it was $120 to $105. This is a huge warning sign for the market as a whole, because this is not a trash product. Well, it is kind of a trash product, but it isn't a trash product in the scope of things like old event decks or old intro decks. Those were the real trash products of Magic the Gathering that you'd never ever get any value because they just didn't put anything that was in demand in those products. These did have their value. Next up, let's go to Unsanctioned. Unsanctioned was another one that had a hard time actually meeting the demand when it was initially reprinted. It triggered a reprint, and now we have Forest. Why is Forest the most expensive card? We had Mark Rosewater on record saying that people would want to continue to buy Unsanctioned even if it didn't have the lands in them, because it was just such a fun, amazing set. Well, Unsanctioned wasn't. The big difference between Unsanctioned and Unstable was Unstable did have that draft kind of format that was fun, where it did have organized events, and we did have a lot of people want to play. I still have people wanting to play it. Unsanctioned being it's kind of the whole thing like Dice Masters that kind of killed Dice Masters when they went from an LC or CCG to an LCG. So Unsanctioned has that LCG feeling. What LCG means is it's a living card game, meaning that if you buy a box set, you get everything contained in that box set to play the game. Whereas a collectible card game is exactly that. Or a TCG or a CCG is you have to collect the cards to then play the game. So Unsanctioned had, okay, you get everything you need in the box, and then you don't have to buy any other products. You have it enough to play 4 players. Maybe you can supplement your other unsets in here, but you don't need to. We have everything you need to go. And what they tried to sell it on, or Mark Rosewater tried to sell it on, is people would just play because of these cards. Wrong, Mark. They did not play because of those cards. The only advantage to buying Unsanctioned is these cards right now. And unfortunately, they have not lasted the test of time either. If you buy this, you don't even recoup your cost. I have now seen distributors go under the 30s for Unsanctioned. So you can buy an entire lot of Unsanctioned for 30 bucks, and you barely break even, or maybe don't even break even from the lands that you get from Unsanctioned. Another huge warning sign. This is a huge dud from Wizards of the Coast. Let's go to Commander 2019. This is one that I do like a little bit better, but this is another set that you can find on eBay and TCG Player for either at or below distributor cost. We've seen distributors blow these out. There was a combination for $400 for a set of Commander decks, as well as, or no, it was 4 Commander decks, 4 of each of the Commander deck. So it's a case of a case of cases of Commander, and a Challenger deck, a set of Challenger deck for $400. So basically, it was giving you a whole Challenger deck 2020 for free for purchasing a case of Commander 2019. The same can be said for Commander 2019. Now, this one was a dud of a set. This was one that everyone was angry because Wizards of the Coast tried to say Gavin Verhey is as famous now, or infamous now, for saying, we heard you, community, and we're printing a lot of the highly sought after reprints. And the reprint that he showed was the Seedborn Muse. Now, Seedborn Muse has been able to hold a decent price tag, but it still hasn't been able to crack that $10 price tag. And it definitely doesn't justify the entire value of this set. The issue again with Commander 2018 is they decided to kind of give stinkers for the mana base. So the mana base was just bad cards here. None of them even cracked the $2 range, and you can't ever get, that is usually the stuff that you can rely on is lands being able to hold long term. However, what we're trying to rely on is stuff even like Thran Dynamo. And this wasn't Spell Disaster 2 because some of these other cards have been reprinted in mystery packs or in supplemental commander sets since then. And it has been a disaster for this set being able to accrue value long term. Mystic Intellect, another one, this is the one that actually does have the value because of Dockside Extortionist. This is the one silver lining, which I'm surprised that Dockside Extortionist didn't get a reprint in like Jumpstart for a pirate, or and then we had Commander Legends that had pirates. That was very surprising. We all thought that one was going to occur, but that is like the silver lining from Commander 2019. If it did not include this Dockside Extortionist, man, this product would even be even more of a disaster. Cards like the Clever Impersonator, which should be at this time period, being able to recoup in value. I think this one actually had a mystery reprinting. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the big issue with these sets, is Clever Impersonator should be a way to judge, to base if the game is healthy or not. That it should start to be able to recover, because this is a very, very highly played card in the Commander format. This is a versatile copy card. Has a lot of good flickering effects too. All right, so let me catch my breath here as I'm trying to get through with this thing. We have the next one with Primal Genesis. The same can be said. We have the Frostfang at $7, but then again, there's like not any cards even at that $5 mark. Last but definitely least is this Merciless Rage, which again just doesn't have any cards that are like Krix, Son of Yawgmoth, arguably one of the most powerful commanders ever printed, is having a hard time going over that $5 price tag. And then a lot of other, this particular Merciless Rage was just like a head scratcher because it had a bunch of weird cards for Commander. Commander's a multiplayer game format, and it just seemed to have a lot of 1v1 cards in here, which just made you scratch your head. Again, the mana base was actually dog doo-doo, and it had rares like Hedonist Trove. You kidding me? This is the type of things they decided to include in this. But all in all, even if this was packed full of other cards that were more the evergreen cards, more the staple cards, 2019 is really showing you, Commander 2019, that it's the supply issue more than anything that is hurting this, because supply, again, this was a set that didn't have enough supply to meet the initial demand, triggered a reprint. The reprint is now the straw that breaks the camel deck for this. Let's go on to Zendikar Rising, set boosters, the list. Oh boy, the hype for this stupid set. This was something that was selling for $150 a booster box. $150 for Zendikar Rising set, because they hyped the crap out of this. Then lo and behold, set boosters end up being not much different than a draft booster box. Draft booster boxes were a little bit cheaper to get the box topper. No one really cared about anything but the box topper. The ability to get these list cards is you know, I mean, there are some decent list cards for sure in here, but I mean, there are a lot of stinkers as well for the list cards, and so it takes a lot of set boosters to get a specific set One, and they had the problem of having like Skithrix the Blight Dragon be not only in this set but also in the double masters. So you had the double reprinting in the same print. I mean, Maelstrom Nexus had multiple printings of this card. I'm surprised it's even been able to hold this value. And even though there are some really good cards like Food Chains and Training Grounds, which I think that this is going long term, this might be able to like stimulate the Zendikar Rising set sales long term, but short term, the market is already panicking from set boosters. So that $150 price tag has now been blown out to set. You can find Zendikar Rising set boosters for $70. $70 for this set. And the biggest warning sign for Zendikar Rising is the time period that it's taken for this to be a stinker. Like this, I've never seen a set collapse so quickly than Zendikar Rising's. Double Masters was a huge failure collapse. Zendikar Rising put that to shame. I have never seen a set 2 weeks later already at the bottom, already having no value in all of its supplemental products, already having things like the expeditions go down to next to nothing, and already having people just like groan about Zendikar Risings. I actually don't think that Zendikar Rising was that terrible of a set. I actually think that Zendikar Rising is going to be something like War of the Spark. The long term, this is like a set that people are like, wow, there are some goodies in here. I mean, you have the land cards like the Academ's Awakening that are just, they're super good cards. Like commander decks, I think just basically every commander deck should be running the Academ's Awakening if you're running black, because the paying 3 life for an untapped land and then having an upside of a sorcery spell is something that is huge. You've got some cool combinations too, with returning that from the graveyard, being able to be a land to be able to pick it up, that make a lot of these graveyard based decks too. Have some crazy combos you can do with this. I think that these cards are going to be something that is going to be looked back in 10 years for Magic the Gathering being like, wow, these were so powerful. It's got arguably the best creature ever printed as far as like cards that are seeing play in Legacy and in Modern right now with the Skyclave Apparition. This is a very high-powered card. This is a set that I think has everything going for it, and yet it cannot sell the sealed product right now. Forsaken Monuments, this card is insane. There are so many infinite combos with Forsaken Monument in Commander that I think is going to age very well for this particular card. And when you can't have set boosters actually selling the set, and you can't have draft boosters with the expedition selling the set, and collectors, we haven't even begun to talk about Collector's Edition, another one that, oh man, was the best set ever printed. This is the craziest collector that you got it. The FOMO was unreal for Zendikar Collector's Edition. 150 is what I've been buying Zendikar Collector's Editions for. One distributor's been blowing them out for 155. Another one's been allowing me to buy them for 145. It comes about 147 after all the fees. 147, I can get up to 2 cases a week for Zendikar set or Collector's Editions. This is the lack of faith in the market when distributors are just panicking about these sets which were arguably the best products ever printed. The amount of value that was slammed in Zendikar Rising Collector's Edition was huge. It has the fetch lands in the new border foils. It's got everything going for it. Commander Legends, though, Jumpstart, have pushed these aside. People are still just FOMOing at the mouth for the Jumpstart and the Commander Legends reprint, which, if they do get a high reprint, so far it's looking so slim, it's just going to be the ultimate collapse for Magic the Gathering sealed market. So I haven't even been able to scratch the surface with other stuff. Brawl decks. We're starting to see Brawl decks show back up, where people that invest in Brawl decks are just liquidating them. We have Challenger decks from all 3 years that are being liquidated. We have Gideon's Spellbook. We have Chandra's Spellbook that are being liquidated. We have pre-release kits that still exist from Theros. Usually by now, pre-release kits are gone. The pre-release kits are another one that used to be such a good hold that you could just really bank on purchasing pre-release kits, and they would be gone long term. Last but not least, I want to talk about why this is the biggest warning sign, why Magic the Gathering used to be the tried, tested, and true. Magic the Gathering never had sealed product. Throughout the history of me being a buyer and a seller, owning a local game store, yes, we had some weird time periods with Magic I'm talking about just draft boosters is what I'm alluding to here. We had some weird time period where we had some stagnant market. We had Return to Ravnica that stayed stagnant for like a decade at that distributor cost. But the one good thing we could always count on Magic the Gathering was that those boxes at least held their price. We didn't see Yu-Gi-Oh! Happen with Magic the Gathering, where you could find a set for $15 for a draft booster box that nobody wanted for 15 booster boxes, or $15. The closest we had to that was Dragon's Maze. And then we had a little bit of a stint with Shadows or Innistrad, where you could find Shadows Innistrad for like $60 with people trying to recoup their value. But it didn't last. If you still go back to Pokemon, you still go back to Yu-Gi-Oh!, you can find some real stinkers of sets that you can buy for, pennies on the dollar. And what we've seen with Magic the Gathering is this had never happened. That gave some consistency that gave some, just basically a safety net for Magic, even singles too. That was the good thing with singles, is there are certain cards you could get in, and you could basically rely that, okay, I can invest on this, and the worst case scenario is I, lose maybe 3 to 5%, which in the scope of things, that risk is so low. When then you could be like, when you hit on the big hits, when you get like the Dominarias that go from $90 a booster box to $180, or the Kaladeshes that go from $90 booster boxes to $200, that is something that gave some consistency to the market, that where your losses could easily make up, or your wins could easily make up for your losses. Your gains could offset those losses. I think we are finally entering into a time period where these products are going to be losses across the board for people that invested in them. I would get everyone caution. How are your double masters investments going for you? I mean, this is the time period where you should start to see like, hey, I'm going to see some gains here. How are your ultimate master investments going for you? How are anything, even I would say post ultimate masters, how are those investments going for you? I like all these people that sit on boxes. I don't know. You need something to happen in the market. You need something. And this is a huge warning sign. Every set has seemed to have more and more FOMO than the last set. They keep pushing the envelope. Secret Layers as well. They keep pushing the envelope for these products. How are they going to outdo Commander Legends? How in the world are you going to outdo Double Masters? Someone in the comment explained to me what is it that they can print now that is going to cause people that they have to have these cards? The power level has been pushed up so much that would Delver of Secrets even be playable in Standard right now? Would Tarmogoyf even be playable in Standard right now? There are a lot of cards right now that were like we used to consider mistakes. Like, oh man, the power level of this card is just off the charts and can never be reprinted in Standard again. When we have arguably the best cards that have ever been printed. I mean, look at Skyclave Apparition. Look at things like Questing Beast. Look at other things that like Embercleave and like that are very playable in the Euro that had to get banned. All of these cards, the power level has just increased and increased and increased. That Wizard Coast has to keep going down this road. And what that's going to do is it's just going to cannibalize the other. It's going to make all these other things that happened before obsolete. They keep pushing it in Commander. They keep pushing it in all of their formats by increasing the power level of everything. And it's something that is not sustainable. And I've ranted now for almost 40 minutes about Magic the Gathering. Hopefully, I've dotted my I's and crossed my T's and showed you that just the hardcore evidence. We can go on and on and on about products that are now below distributor costs that we've never seen this level before in my history as a seller, as a buyer and a seller, as a local game store operator, as having my little online sales as well. I have never seen this happen before. And this comes on the backs of record profits from Magic the Gathering, of record sales, that they have now milked the market dry, where I don't think there's anything left. And there is just years and years of products that need to be, like, we need a cooling off period of printing. It would take years to offset the market here of being able to the demand to outstretch the supply of people picking up these dead products. Gideon Spellbook was not a bad product. Chandra Spellbook was not a bad product. Commander 2019, Commander 2020, Zendikar set boosters, collector's editions, those were not bad products. The major problem is it's just too much. It is just completely the entire market has been capsized by the weight, just the sheer weight of how much they printed in 2020. And the sad thing is, I don't think they'll take this advice. I don't think they'll lay off the printing. I think that 2021 is going to see even more secret layers. I think that 2021 is going to see even more super duper ultra collector's edition foily border. Get a Pokemon card in Magic the Gathering because Pokemon's hot. So let's do an alternate art Pikachu that's Ralzeric or something. You know, that's going to be the new thing where they're going to have to continue to cross brand. Where, oh man, we need to find the all these other fandoms of all these other World of Warcraft cards now in Magic the Gathering. It's not going to stop. Wizards of the Coast is going to continue to fluff up the market. They're going to continue to print, and 2021 cannot take another 2020 with the amount of sheer product. Well, that is 40 minutes. I know I've had a lack of videos lately. Needed a good rant. Here it is. Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.